Good morning, you guys. What's up? Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to a new video. Welcome to a chatty little mid-year, I almost said monthly reset, mid-year reset. I cannot believe it is July. That is crazy. And anyways, I wanted to take kind of like the first week of July and just go over my routines and my goals and see what I'm currently aligned with, see what I kind of want to ixnay, go over the budget, go over the goals, and to set the vibe for this video. Me and you, we are two besties at a coffee shop right now. I've got coffee, I've got my laptop, and pretend we're just like sitting here and yapping and FaceTiming and talking about, you know, how our year went so far, what we want to change, what we want to implement, what we want to keep, and super casual. I just, like I said, want it to be like two really good friends hanging out. I think that July and August are a really good point to reset midway through the year. For me personally, I don't set a lot of monthly goals throughout the summer, so I like taking this time to just like reset and reflect. Even if you did it like towards the end of August, I still think it's a really great time because then you're going into the fall feeling super inspired and motivated, and there's no right or wrong time to do this. Just do it when it works for you. And I'm really excited. We're gonna kind of like realign some of our routines, our goals, our budget, and I want to do a few little bookish things as well. There's not gonna be a monthly reset this month just because I'm doing this and I didn't want to do like a mid-year reset and a monthly reset. Plus, as you guys know, the last few years, like I mentioned, I don't set any goals throughout the summer just to kind of let myself enjoy the very short-lived summer we have here in Canada. So I guess without further ado, first of all, let's take a sip of coffee and then we'll get into it. I feel like I never, film in the bedroom, so this is like kind of weird, but I really love this setup. Like I just love how, I feel like our bedroom is very cozy, but it's like a very nice neutral backdrop and we get a lot of really nice natural light in here. And two, I never straighten my hair. I cannot tell you the last time I pulled out my hair straightener. It's gotta have been a year at this point, but today I really just felt like straightening my hair. So here we are, not too sure how I feel about it. The first thing I want to do is just do a little bit of reflection and reevaluating. I tend to do a lot of my reflection offline. I just think it's something that's really personal and really just asking myself, and this can be whenever it works best for you. I personally reflect my best on a walk, like when I'm just like walking with no headphones or in the shower. I do some great thinking in there. So pick a time that really works for you to just kind of like sit and reflect. I'm going to share some journal prompts that I used and really just start this kind of mid-year reset by looking back and just once again seeing what's been working in my routine, what feels heavy, what feels out of alignment. Something I also like to do too is scroll through my photos from the last 6 months and just kind of remind myself of what's brought me a lot of joy and what I want to carry forward into the rest of the year. I highly recommend. I feel like everyone talks about journaling and it's so important, but I feel like a little scroll through the photos always just makes me so happy and kind of gives me some momentum of maybe occasions or moments or I don't know, little things you did for yourself that you want to carry into the rest of the year. Some of the things I asked myself were what worked for me, what didn't work for me, what moments am I proud of this year, and what do I want more and less of. I thought that I could actually share with you guys some of the things that I want to do. I kind of like that ins and outs list, but things I want more of and things I want less of going into the rest of the year now that we're kind of halfway through. So things I want more of, more mornings off my phone. I feel like it's so easy to like wake up and then I will obviously go and check my sleep score normally on my Oura Ring and like implement that data, but then I start scrolling. So I really want to restart this because I feel like I was really good the first 2 months of the year and I kind of fell off, but just not going on my phone at all until 9. Matt and I love this app. It's called Opal and basically allows you to kind of like lock certain apps at certain times of the day. So for me, I have like a social media lock on in the mornings and in the evenings, and I really want to be better about that and shifting. My morning block is from 9 to 11 so that I can like really focus the first few hours of work, but I'm thinking about doing it from like 7 to 10 or something like that, just like really like start my day off, no social media, and then I can kind of check it over my morning break and my lunch break. So I think I might shift the time on there, but I highly recommend. It's a great app. Next is things I want more of, joyful movement that feels good. I went through this phase where I was lifting 5-6 days a week and I had, you know, the back and bis and the chest and tris and the 2, you know, leg days. And that was a phase of life I'm in, but that's okay if it's not the phase of life I'm in anymore. And I think I really beat myself up about that I can go to the gym and just do 2 full body workouts every week. And that's okay. Like you don't have to go to the gym and have this 5-day split. And I think that's something I've really struggled with because I've realized that my ideal split is I love a day of Pilates. I love, you know, 2 days of a full body dumbbell workout. And then I love a day of like a short run, like 3-4 kilometers. And then the rest are active work days. or sorry, active rest days and like getting a lot of steps in. So I'm just trying to remind myself that it's okay to shift your mindset, even when it comes to things like weightlifting. And I'm just like not in the same season I was anymore, and that's okay. But I want to keep focusing on that. I think something I struggle with is that like I'm very comfortable in my body, and I know my body, and I know how much food I can eat. And I'm someone who I've never had like a big variance in my weight. I've always been between the same weight, give or take maybe 5 pounds. I feel like in the winter I'm not moving as much as in the summer, and then obviously if I have like an IBS flare up or something, I'm in like this state of bloat, which isn't necessarily weight, but just bloatedness and things not fitting great. I'm very content with my body. I have grown to love it. I've got a bee belly and I love her, and social media has made me realize that like I'm not alone in that, and I used to think I was, but I need to shift my mindset towards like growing up as a teenager, you always think like I have to work out to lose weight, and that's just so ingrained in society. And so just really shifting my mindset to be like, I can move my body because it just makes me happy and it makes my body feel good. And that's something I'm kind of working on focusing on right now, is just movement should be joyful and it should feel good, and you don't have to have the intention of losing weight to move your body. Then the last thing I want more of is financial intentionality. I feel like I've been good about this year. There's obviously been a few slip ups because no one's perfect. I've definitely made some impulse purchases, but my motto for this year with my finances was to save with intention and spend with joy. And so I still just want to be sure I'm mindful about buying things that bring me joy and, cutting back on those areas that don't. Things I want less of: mindlessly scrolling, all or nothing thinking with habits, which is something I just feel like I'm always in this loop of having an all or nothing mindset, and I don't really know how to break it. Neglecting self-care because you feel too busy. That is something I really struggle with. And then clutter, physical, digital, and mental. That's something I really want to carry into the rest of the year. So those are some things I want less of, some things I want more of. Next is decluttering and organizing. I really wanted to focus more on the digital side of it because I do feel like the house, like we've been really good at upkeeping the home and keeping it, clutter-free and organized. I'm really, really proud of us for that. But I really want to go through my camera roll, go through my emails, unsubscribe to any shopping emails. And then I also just want to go quickly through our subscriptions. We tend to rotate through streaming services based on like what is streaming right now. And so basically we'll just like cancel anything we're not using. So I know that I can go ahead and cancel Crave for the next few months, not because we don't love it, but there's nothing on it right now. The Last of Us is done, and then I'm pretty sure Welcome to Derry is not out until the fall, which is like the It spin-off TV show. So we're not using it right now. We can go ahead and cancel it. I just reactivated Apple TV because the new season of the Buccaneers came out, and then after that I'll probably just like cancel that for a little bit too. So we kind of like cycle through. I'm just not gonna be paying for streaming services that like I'm not actively using. I feel like I can also carry this into work too, and I love to use inbox folders with my corporate job, so I want to kind of go through, organize my emails there, organize my OneDrive, which is like just like where I keep all my files. Same with my personal computer, right? Going through my Google Drive, that's how I submit brand deals, getting that organized, archiving things, updating my Notion, and just like honestly blocking off an hour, putting in an audiobook, and just cleaning up my computer. That always makes me feel so good. Updating my book tracker, things like that. Okay, next is the fun part. We're gonna review our goals and habits. I cannot even like remember what half of my 2025 goals are. And I also want to remind you guys too that it is okay if a goal no longer serves you, or even if you want to add something in, that is totally fine. You are not the same person that you were at the beginning of the year, and that can be a really great thing. But you may have tried a goal out and realized it's not for you. You might want to push a goal even more. And so it's okay if you want to really tweak your goals, because the whole point of a goal is it's something that's supposed to motivate you and it's something that you want to achieve. And if it's something that you're just not interested in anymore, that's also okay. There's like no point in keeping that on there if it's not something that you want to do. I'm actually gonna probably share my screen for this because I kind of want to change up a few little things and tweak some goals. I do want to make cinnamon rolls from scratch, and also set some fun goals, you guys. It's just like life is short. Set some fun goals to achieve for yourself. Set some easier to achieve goals for yourself. Not all of these goals should be insanely hard, okay? I feel like that's something that I've learned over the years, is that like not every goal needs to be a stretch goal. You can have goals that are easy to accomplish because it's gonna make you feel good and it's gonna give you momentum. Learn needlepoint. I still haven't done that yet, but I definitely want to. I'm trying to figure out which one I want to do, either needlepoint or cross stitch or like needle punch. I want a new hobby, I should say I want to add a new hobby. I want something I can do while I'm watching TV because I love to color when I watch TV. I need more like mindless hobbies like that. So if you do any of these, let me know which one I should try. Travel to Europe for the first time, we can cross that off because we did that. Very exciting. I genuinely didn't think we were going to go. Like as much as we wanted to, I just thought we were never going to plan it. And I don't really know what it is, but it was so intimidating to us. Like traveling to Europe for the first time felt so scary. I don't know if it's because it's a new continent or what, but we did it, and now I have the Europe bug, which is great because we don't plan on going to the US anytime soon, but like we have the Europe bug for sure. Visit a new province. I can't check this off yet, but I am going to New Brunswick for a work conference that I'm running in the fall. And then lastly, in personal, I have journal consistently without the expectations of perfectionism. And I definitely think I've been doing a good job at this. And I've just been loving it. It's been a really great outlet for me. So I'm not going to check that off yet. I'll probably check it off at the end of the year, but it's definitely something that I have been working towards and working on. Social media hit 150K on YouTube. We're getting there. We're at like 120 something. Q3, Q4 tends to be the biggest months of growth for me personally, just with the fall content and just like end of year. So I hope we can get there. If we don't, that's also okay. I always say that like if I didn't gain, it's hard because I love like growing the community, but if I was like stuck at a standstill where I am now, I would be so grateful and so happy. And I obviously love I love finding out how you guys found my channel, and I love you guys just send the sweetest messages. But if I had to just freeze where I was now, I'd be really, really proud of myself. Go to a movie premiere with Disney Studios Canada. We're still working on that one. Attend an F1 race. This one I just don't think is gonna happen. I don't want to put the negativity out into the universe, but obviously we couldn't go to the Montreal GP. We were in London. My number one race to go to this year was Austin. I just don't think, well, it could happen. I don't think we'll go. I just, maybe, I don't know. Never say never. Maybe we'll get invited to like the Mexican Grand Prix or something, or Brazil. That would be like so cool. But I was bummed because I'm going to Berlin in the fall for work. And I was like, oh my gosh, like maybe it'll work out with the race. And Matt and I could just fly there because traveling within Europe is so cheap. But of course, when we're in Berlin, it's the COTA, Circuit of the Americas. They're in Austin. So it just like didn't work out timing wise. But I know we'll get there. Matt and I decided that if we don't end up going to a race this year, which I don't think we are probably going to just do Montreal next year and kind of just like make it a really fun first experience, or I don't know, maybe do Monaco next year, who knows. But all that to say, I don't know if it's going to happen, but we'll see. Host a book event, that is still in the works. We're kind of hoping for maybe the fall right now. I'm really thinking we could do something with the book club. I think that would be so fun. 25% of business income goes to donations, giveaways, and giving back to the community. I'm actually just going to change this to 20 because that's what I've been doing. Not like a huge shift, but every month I have been giving back to a different organization and a different charity. Home, laundry room makeover. I don't know if that's gonna happen. We got a quote, and it's not that the quote was like, well, it is a lot of money because it's a demolition project, but I feel like it's one of those things where we could just do this one big project this year, or we could fit in a lot of smaller ones, like finishing the dining room, doing the breakfast nook, landscaping the backyard. So we're just trying to weigh the pros and cons of like, is it worth it to do this one $10,000-$15,000 project? Because our bathroom that got gutted, that had the leak when we moved in, like it just needs a lot of work. The floors need to be taken off, brought back down to level. It needs a new window. It's a bigger project, and so I don't know if it'll get done this year. We'll see. I'd love it to, but also realistically that money could go really far into a lot of other smaller projects. And we have a functional laundry room right now. The goal was to just we need to get the laundry out of the downstairs bathroom into its own space so that we can renovate the downstairs bathroom down the line. I don't know if it's gonna get done. We're still kind of talking that out, but I'm okay if it doesn't get done this year. Landscape the backyard, that will be a fall project. Replace the front and back door. I don't think we're replacing the front door. We had kind of just talked briefly about it, but we are replacing the back door. That's getting done this week, so I could check that off. And then redo the home library. We're doing that and finishing that right now, so I can check that off. So we're doing good with the home, but I think we were just a little too ambitious maybe with the projects. Reading, we have read at least one literary fiction book a month. I haven't been doing this, and I think I'm just gonna take it off because I don't want to put that pressure on myself. I'd rather set read 5. Maybe I'll read 3 books about Indigenous culture and history. I'm currently reading Split Tooth, so I'm about to check one off, but we still have 6 months to go, and it's a good check-in for the reading because I almost forget what reading goals I've set, so I definitely need to prioritize that. Read 30% of my TBR, physical TBR. I actually think I'm going to change this, and I want it to say 20 books on physical TBR. I want to give myself a specific number, whether that means I unhaul things that I haven't read in the last, I don't know, 2-3 years that I've had, or I just like really work on my physical TBR. I want to end the year with 20 books max on there. We're going to make it happen. Read at least 1 book I haven't read yet by 3 of my favorite authors. Okay, let's do a little brainstorm and see, because I did finally read the 7-Year Slip, so that's 1. Do new releases count? Because technically, I read the new TJR book and then I read the new Ashley Poston book. But I think it was more of like a backlist. So all I can think of that I've read so far is 7-Year Slip. So I still need to work on that one and come up with 2. I probably have read 2 other ones that I just can't think of off the top of my head right now, but I know for sure 7-Year Slip. Try a 24-hour reading challenge. I haven't done it yet, but I'm really hoping to this summer. I just like need a weekend where we have like nothing going on that I can commit to doing it. Catch up and finish with the series you're currently reading. I have been better about this. I feel like I just haven't been starting a lot of series because it kind of overwhelms me to like add to the series tracker. I've been doing a lot of like standalones, duets, trilogies, but something I'm working on once again. This is kind of like one of those ones that I can really just like check off at the end of the year. Don't be afraid to reach out and request arcs. The worst they will do is say no. I'm checking that off because I've been so good about this and it's been really out of my comfort zone, but I'm in a good routine now of requesting arcs and using NetGalley and just like, I don't know, like asking for things. So I feel like I've done a really good job at this and I'm really proud of myself. So I'm going to check that one off. Just checked. I have like a little, actually I could probably show you guys here. I have this like little checklist here. And so far I've hit the 10th, like I'm just almost at the $10,000 mark. I don't know if this was like too ambitious of a goal with all of our home projects, but as you guys know, I want to hit like a certain amount invested by the time I'm 30, and I think I've just been a little too lax about it at the beginning of the year, so I really need to like crack down. However, I am going to kind of like tally up and figure out what I need to contribute every month going forward. And you guys will see that in the finance or in the budget part of this video, where I need to get better about the whole like pay myself first. And as soon as I kind of get that pay, I need to like throw it into my investments instead of investing last with what's left at the end of the month. My plan going forward is I'm going to do a big lump sum, whether it's $2,500 here, $2,500 here, or $5,000 in December. That is typically the biggest time of year for me for brands is Q3 and Q4. Like from back to school to Christmas is typically when brands have the biggest budgets. So also when AdSense tends to ramp up as well, it tends to kind of like dip down in the summer. So my plan is to do a big chunk of money at the end of the year, which means that like from July to November, I'm going to need to invest $5,000 and then do a lump sum once again in like December. From here to here, I need to invest $1,000 a month and then we will hit it for the rest of the year. And then if I do a little bit more, it just means that I have to invest a little bit less here in December. But that's kind of the goal for that. Consistently track sinking funds and contribute regularly to them. I definitely have been doing this. I think I've almost been focusing a little too much on that and not so much on the investments, but that's going good. Stick to my book buying plan and be intentional about book purchases. I definitely feel like I've done that this year. I have been it's so funny because I obviously work with Indigo, which is our Canadian bookstore chain, on like a monthly basis, and they'll send me a gift card, and sometimes I'll literally be like, I don't know, like there's no books that I want to buy because I've really been trying to be selective and only buying books that I anticipate being like a 4 or 5 star read. And I'd rather read something from the library first and then pick up a physical copy to support the author after. I've definitely been sticking to this goal, but it's made it a little bit harder. Like whenever I'm like, I just want to go book shopping, I'm like, there's nothing I want to buy. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but work on my all or nothing mindset regarding finances. I definitely do think I've been working on this. It's a work in progress, but I think I struggle with this mindset in all aspects of my life, so it's a little difficult. And then invest in my health and wellness more. I think this is something I'm doing good about. I can feel myself slipping in the sense that I'm like, oh, I don't really want to spend money on that. But I know that it's more important for me to invest in that and cut back in other areas of my life. So I definitely think this is something I've been kind of like slowly falling off of, and I kind of want to ramp back up. Okay, and then I just finished putting back all trim and molding in house because Matt and I are notorious for taking off the old trim and molding and then we don't put the new stuff back on. So like our dining room hasn't had trim for like 5 months, and I really think trim just like completes a space. Like it's the last thing in our dining room that we need. That's a check-in on the goals for 2025 so far. And like I said, if I think of things, I'll just kind of add it. We can maybe do another check-in in the fall. Okay, and then kind of going along with the goals and habits, Matt and I sat down and we went through kind of our priorities for the home for the rest of the year. Highly recommend if you, even if you've maybe like recently moved into a space and you're trying to furnish it or paint it, I recommend sitting down, making it fun. We did it in the hammock, having a beer after we did like a bunch of yard work on Canada Day. And we basically just shared kind of what our priorities were for the house for the rest of the year. And we put that together in like my notes app. And then we really like nailed out what the priority is. And we gave every month a different project. I highly recommend, because I feel like oftentimes you'll just have different priorities and that's just the way it is. And unless you talk through it, you're always going to be kind of annoyed that like, you know, like, oh, I didn't think this was the priority. Why are we doing this? And it's just good to talk things out. So we made a little bit of a plan. Also helps too with budgeting. I can put that on the screen somewhere. I don't really know where. Maybe here. Finish home library by end of July. August, we want to just put up the trim in the dining room and kind of get that finished off because it's really the only thing that's left. September, we're going to lay down grass and do some landscaping in the backyard. October, we're thinking about starting the dining room nook, but honestly, like, who knows? I did say, like, if I got an opportunity with a brand earlier, then we would maybe do it. But right now, maybe the fall. And then November and December are empty. And this obviously doesn't include anything like small. We decided to do like maybe like painting, but it's nice that way we can kind of just make our budgets and kind of know what we have to save for. Some months you're going to have like a bigger scale project than others, but it kind of goes back to that thing, like I said, where we're trying to figure out if it's worth it to do kind of one bigger scale project for the rest of the year or a lot of little things that we need to catch up on, like trim and painting, all that kind of stuff. There's a wall that Matt wants to take down. And so that's something that we're kind of working through and trying to figure out priority wise, but I highly recommend sitting down and doing a mid-year check-in, especially if you're fixing up a house and just kind of like getting your priorities in check for the rest of the year. I just like on a whim right now, I was like, wait, I was planning this video out throughout the week and I was like, I didn't say anything about books in this video, and that's obviously a huge part of my life. So we're gonna do the mid-year freak out book tag, which is like a book tag that was created, I don't really know by who, but basically they just ask a bunch of questions and it's kind of like your mid-year reading check-in. So I haven't had any time to think about these answers. We're just gonna do what comes to mind. I don't have any of the books in front of me. Best book you've read so far in 2025. The book that I still think about every single day. You guys, I'm gonna sound like a fucking broken record. Dust Storm by Maggie Gates, for sure. I'm trying to think, maybe I'll do like every genre. So like for romance, definitely Dust Storm. I loved that book so much. For fantasy, I think Shadows That Listen by Louisa Carmody, for sure. And then for thriller, probably That's Not My Name by Megan Lally. Yeah, that one, like, really, I really think about that one a lot. Best sequel you've read so far this year. I'm actually going to try and also pull up my Fable. And most of the sequels I read this year definitely let me down, if I'm being honest. Okay, I had to scroll all the way back to January, but Queen of the Crimson Throne was my highest rated sequel, which is the second book in the Queen of Blood and Stardust series. Okay, I'm trying to think of how I can explain it. I guess I'll just more or less explain book one, but this is an enemies to lovers between a girl and a vampire. It's got found family, it's slow burn. Best books I've read with like the most badass female main character. I honestly want to do a reread of it. It was so good. It was like court intrigue, political drama, forbidden romance. Who Did This to You? I highly recommend. It's on Kindle Unlimited. It's amazing. I hear nobody talk about it, but it's like one of my favorite romantic series ever. So that was definitely my favorite sequel of the year. New release you haven't read yet, but you want to. Let me see what I still haven't read. Oh, the new V.E. Schwab book. I really want to read that because like something about sapphic vampires is just like really fun to me. So haven't read that yet, but that is definitely really, really high up on the new releases I want to read. Biggest disappointment. I don't really know if I want to share this. I feel bad because I feel like I'm kind of like the underlier here. Every sequel that I read this year, I did not really enjoy. Caught Up disappointed me a little bit, but I think that's just more that I was comparing it to Lights Out. Goldfinch disappointed me, but I feel like the last few books in that series disappointed me. Oh, also this is gonna be a controversial one, but Promise Me Sunshine. So those are the ones I can think of. Nobody come for me. Most anticipated release for the second half of the year. I feel like I have a few. Let me go through. I have like a list on my Notion of anticipated new releases so I can request them from the library. A new Holly Jackson book. Really excited about that. These are like not in specific order. Holly Renee, who wrote, is it This Veiled Kingdom? I haven't read it, but she's coming out with a cowboy romance, I'm pretty sure. I'm really excited about that. Too Old for This by Samantha Downing. The Kidnapping of Alice Ingold. I'm so excited for Tour Season by Bryn Weaver, of course. Stephanie Garber is making her adult fantasy debut with Alchemy of Secrets. Soul Searching by Lila Sage. I read Done and Dusted and I didn't like love it, but I'm really excited about Soul Searching. Girl Dinner by Olivia Blake. Something Wicked by Fallon Ballard. And that's like kind of all like, oh, and of course the new book To the We Were Liars World. How could I forget? I think that comes out in November. So those are the ones I'm kind of looking forward to. Biggest surprise. Ooh. I actually tried to get into Homebound a few times when it was indie published and I just couldn't. And then I ended up getting an ARC for the traditionally published version of it. So I was like, okay, I'm going to actually finish it now. And I was pleasantly surprised at how much I enjoyed it. Give Me Butterflies. I definitely knew I was going to enjoy it. It's a romance about two museum directors who are kind of like fighting for a job and ended up being a 5-star read. So that was like a bit of a surprise in the sense that the audiobook was incredible. Like normally I go into a romance audiobook and I'm like, this is going to be good. You know, 3.75, 4 stars. It surprised me in the sense that it was like one of my favorite books of the year for sure. Favorite new author probably has to go to Maggie Gates, honestly, because now I want to read her entire backlist. Some of these I'm like, it's like fictional crush, but I don't really feel like I ever find myself like crushing on a fictional character, but that's just me. I'm probably so weird. A book that made me cry. I'm not someone who cries a lot while reading. I'm not like a very emotional reader, so that's how I know a book is gonna be really good, when I'm like laughing out loud reading it or I cry. Great Big Beautiful Life, I did cry at the end. And I also cried reading Love of My Afterlife, which was I think my first 5-star read of the year. A book that made you happy. Ooh, okay, I'm trying to like not use the same books over and over again. Battle of the Bookstores was honestly a really fun time. That was our book club pick for last month. And it was honestly just like a really fun, like cheesy, lighthearted romance audiobook. So I have to say Battle of the Bookstores honestly made me really happy. The Rose Bargain, like that, I just had so much fun reading that book. That was a good one. It's so hard to like not say the same books over and over again, especially because I think I've only had like 5-star reads out of like the 60 books I've read this year. What is the most beautiful book you've bought so far this year? Oh, hands down has to go to the UK cover of Atmosphere, honestly. I knew going into our London trip that was like the only one I really wanted, and I think it's absolutely gorgeous. It's so simple and minimal, but yet so beautiful. Okay, those were most of the questions in the mid-year reset tag. I feel like there is like a lot of different variations of it, and I'm sorry if the lighting just changed. It just got so sunny in here. Last thing I think is super important is to do a little bit of a budget overview. Wow, the sun is really trying to come out right now. And there's a few different like ways you can go about this. I wrote down, I want to look back at my spending from the first half of the year and kind of see what I did great, what I did wrong. If you use a budget tracker, oftentimes a lot of them will have like an annual overview, so you can kind of check in with your spending for the year. I check in on my budget categories and just ask myself if they align with my lifestyle and priorities. You know, if I want to spend a bit more on wellness, where can I pull back? Or, you know, canceling certain subscriptions, things like that. Adjust sinking funds for upcoming expenses. Now that we're halfway through the year, you know, we've depleted the travel sinking fund, we've depleted the home sinking fund. Now we need to plan ahead. Check in on my savings and investment goals. Am I still on track? And then I really want to get back into, we haven't really been like, the no spend week thing is tricky because I just feel like we're always buying stuff for the house. And so I'm trying to decide if I want to do a no spend week that's like outside of that, like no personal spending, or just pick a week that like we're not spending money on the house. But I find it tricky to do because we're just always buying trim, buying paint, buying this, buying that, especially when we have a big project like a whole room makeover going on. So I feel like I've kind of fallen off of the no spend weeks because I wanted to do one every month. And I feel like if I tally it up, I've had at least 10 to 14 no spend days a month, which still makes me happy even if I didn't do an actual no spend week. But it was like a really nice way to kind of like reset for the month, is having that no spend week. And so I really want to get back on track with doing that. Hi guys, hello. Okay, we're ending this video off after work. We're gonna go through the budget and stuff. I had to like go in and kind of finish tallying up some numbers and just like combing through the credit cards one last time, and I got everything in order, so I figured I could share with you guys, I guess, like a little bit of an annual budget overview, and then closing out June, and then setting up July, and then a little bit about our trip. So we're kind of blending a little bit of like the monthly budget reset within like a mid-year reset, if you will. I wanted to share a breakdown of our trip costs, like just an overview with you guys. I've gotten a lot of questions about our London trip, about people in Canada similarly trying to plan a trip, so I thought it could be helpful, especially to sharing Canadian numbers since our dollar is not very strong right now. I just want to remind everyone that everybody travels and spends so differently. Obviously, with it being our honeymoon, we definitely splurged, I'd say, a little bit more on food. Like, we went out for a few nicer dinners, but we really tried to limit ourselves to one sit-down meal a day. Whether that was, you know, grabbing a bagel for breakfast, a quick sandwich and a salad from a grocery store for lunch, and then having a nice dinner. Or one day we did like a nice breakfast and then we just got sandwiches for lunch, and then like same thing for dinner. We tried not to do too many sit-down meals. I don't know if it's just like where we stayed or if it's like a common London thing, but our hotels, none of them, the 3 we stayed in, none of them had fridges. And so we typically like to buy groceries and snacks like yogurt, and we'll have breakfast in the hotel room, but none of them had fridges, so we couldn't really do that. So just a heads up. I don't know if it was just like the ones we stayed at or if that's kind of normal practice there. So I definitely feel like we spent a little bit more on food, but I think overall what's important is creating a trip that feels right to you. A couple, as a family, as a solo traveler, like whatever you prioritize most. It's kind of like an everyday budget. Like, we all prioritize different things. I really don't think there's a right or wrong way to spend your money on vacation. The whole point is that you enjoy and make the most of it, and your dream trip might look totally different than ours, and you can absolutely plan an amazing vacation at any price point. But if you watched our videos and you're like, wow, I want a trip similar to that, this is kind of what we spent. So we did a honeymoon fund at our wedding reception, and with that we got around $5,000 Canadian. We also had a couple $100 left over from some family members who helped contribute to our reception and our elopement in general. We might have had like 5,500 Canadian total. If you guys are any of our friends and family watching this, thank you so much. We were truly able to have the trip of a lifetime because of that. That paid for our flights. We use points for our flights, but you still have to pay the taxes and charges, and the UK has some wild transportation charges. I'll put them on the screen here. Ended up costing us $600 or something. I'll put the graph on the screen in a minute. I just kind of wanted to walk through like what we paid for versus our honeymoon fund. I paid for our hotels, Eurostar from London to Paris, and then our Disneyland Paris package, and then everything else we paid for out of pocket. So food, coffee, eSIMs, visas, souvenirs, experiences, etc. So that's kind of like the distinction. So when you see it in the budget, you're just going to see what we spent out of pocket, because we obviously paid for all these things ahead of time and included it in Canadian, USD, and pounds, just so that you guys could compare. And once again, I figured I'd share the London trip portion just because I feel like probably not many people care about the Disneyland part as much. And if you do, feel free to DM me and I can share that with you guys. The flight, $662. That was just the transportation charges and taxes. All of these, keep in mind, are for both Matt and I. So that was like around $330 a person. Hotels, I definitely feel like you could cut this number down a little bit. This was for, I'm trying to think of how many nights. That's 6 nights in London. We stayed at 3 different hotels. We did stay one night in a like budget chain. I think it's called the Z Hotel, and then the other ones were in boutique hotels. So I definitely feel like you could bring that hotel budget cost down when you're planning your trip. I'm a big fan of Expedia. That's how we booked all of ours. I definitely think you could. We just stayed at a few nicer hotels with it being our honeymoon. You could probably get that down to like, I'd say $2,000. You do have to get a visa to go into the UK now from certain countries, so that was $32. My eSIM was $44. Matt obviously paid for it separately. We spent $171 on coffee, $1,000 on food, $200 on drinks, $149 on transportation. If you don't take any Ubers, this will definitely be lower. We ended up taking an Uber from Heathrow to our hotel after our red eye because we were just like a little too delirious to even like think about the tube. Other than that, we took the tube everywhere. We also took the Elizabeth line tube from Paddington to the airport, which was really nice and convenient. If we ever go back to London, we'll just take the tube from Heathrow to like into London. We don't need to take an Uber, but that was all of our transportation costs. Experiences was $271. There is a lot to do in London that's free. However, the things you have to pay for, obviously just because the dollar's not great, they just add up quick. For experiences, we only paid for Silverstone, Jack the Ripper tour, Kensington Palace. Everything else we did was either free or we just like walked around outside, like, you know, Westminster Abbey and stuff. Souvenirs, we spent $291, $100 on our rental car. So overall, like, this is not separating out what we spent. You guys will see it in a second in the June budget breakdown, but this is like overall, if you're planning a similar trip to London for 6 nights, this is what we spent. And then as you guys can see, I have it in USD and in pounds. Obviously, once again, like give or take, right? You could spend less on food if you got groceries. You could spend less on a hotel. You might do more experiences, so your experience budget might be higher than ours. That's just like to give you guys an idea of what we spent. And now I guess we should go over the budget really quick. The thing about the budget spreadsheet I use Gabby Peterson's spreadsheet. I love her so much. She's put so much work into her spreadsheet, and it's truly awesome. It actually has an annual tracker, which is really, really fun. And I definitely need to take some time and go through this and like reflect on it on my own. But I'll kind of like share some screenshots on the screen of what that looks like. It obviously adds up all your income, your expenses, your bills, savings, investments for the year, your lowest spend month, your highest spend month. One thing I do need to set up is I don't have my net worth set up on here. I don't track it. I really need to learn how to do that. There's a whole page for that on her spreadsheet. That is something kind of like out of my comfort zone. Even though I love talking about personal finance, I don't know where to start with that. So maybe I should put that as a goal for 2025 or the rest of it, is to learn how net worth works, because I have no idea how that works. I need to figure that out. Annual tracker is great because it has so many graphs and stuff. If you're visual like me, it tells you your highest spend categories, your favorite investing account, expensive quarters, how much you transferred out of savings, how much you saved. And I really, really enjoy that. Anyways, just wanted to highlight that a lot of budget trackers do have like an annual overview if you buy an annual budget spreadsheet. So definitely worth reflecting on. We're going to kind of combine the monthly reset with the mid-year reset just because I need to close out my June budget. I want to take some of the things we talked about in this video and implement them into July, like paying myself first, making sure my investments are a top priority, and all that. So welcome to June. Let's go over this super quick, and then like I said, we'll kind of take some of the things we implemented or talked about and we'll put them into July. Let's start with income actually. We started the month off with a pretty high rollover. If you're new here, I like to have around $1,400 to $1,500 of rollover. It's just what makes me feel comfortable. It's like the buffer I like to have in my account. I went a little bit higher knowing that my second paycheck was going to be quite low. I don't work a full-time corporate job. I work 4 days a week. And because of that, I get in lieu of, so I get 18% in lieu of vacation and sick time instead of getting paid vacation, which is great until you actually take the paid vacation and it's obviously unpaid. So this is like average. I always like to undershoot my paychecks. For some reason, I always just undershoot them at 16, but 1,800 if I work my full hours tends to be good. If I work full time, it's more towards 2,000. Paycheck 2, 936. So some of this rollover and then also some of this business income kind of helped level that out. So in reality, when I paid myself from the business, my plan was to, as you guys can see, I color code things too. It just kind of helps me. I'm a very visual person. When that $2,000 hit my account when I transferred it, $1,000 went into my home sinking fund, and then in my head I kind of just tagged that on there because I did it on payday so that I would you know, like have a bit of extra money. So that's kind of how I pictured the business dividends this month. So my total income for the month was $47.41. So transferred out of savings. I had a car repair, so I used my emergency fund, and then I I transferred out of my sinking fund. So expenses, and we'll go through like the detailed ones after. Groceries were a bit under, which is great. Eating out, I mean, we technically ate out a lot more than this, but that went into the kind of travel part of the budget. Alcohol and cannabis, good. Car maintenance, 1,600 of this was the car repair, so that's why 1,600 was transferred out, and then 84 was just like parking and gas. Shopping and hobbies. I really feel like out of the trip and the car, we were really good with our spending this month. I think I'm getting better about being like, okay, you're going on a trip halfway through the month, like let's save our spending money for then. And I got my nails done, the dog's got a bag of dog food that's split with my husband. We have a joint credit card, so we just put everything on that and then split that down the middle, and then we each have our own personal credit cards still. Home improvements was lower than we thought, but home decor was a bit higher, so I feel like it ended up kind of evening itself out. We were still under budget overall. Yeah, I feel like when you're doing a home project, sometimes it's hard because you're just kind of waiting for things to come back in stock. So I thought that this was going to be higher, that we were going to get a bit further with the library than we did, but that will be in July. Trips and adventures, that's what we ended up spending. I wouldn't say that this is, like, we didn't spend on our trip, here, let me just like add this up, $36.98, which is like double of this number. Some of this is just like individual things I bought, but I'll take you guys through line by line and show you guys what we spent. Building my wardrobe, I got a dress at Uniqlo when we were in the UK because I was so warm, so I spent money there. Oh wait, I just had to update this because I was like, that seems low. I knew that this month I got a dress at Uniqlo when we were in the UK because I was so warm. I had packed so many layers and they were going through a heat wave. And I also got a one-piece bathing suit because both of our neighbors have pools and I'm very body confident and positive, and like I'll wear a bikini, but like I just don't always like want to wear a skimpy bikini, you know, around the neighbors in the pool. I want to be, you know. So I ended up getting a one piece, but cash withdrawal, I took out $40 and there was like $1 charge. This is for, I should honestly just label this takeout. The hot dog truck and the ice cream truck in town only take cash. So I typically take out like $40 at the beginning of the month. Gifts, we ended up getting some souvenirs in Disneyland Paris for our neighbors. And then freezer fills, we did a meat stock up at Costco. And I like to differentiate that from the groceries. And then I have a new line item for home contractors. Is contractors with an O? Okay, sorry, I just changed that. It was home contractors, then I realized contractors was spelled wrong, and then I was like, let's put it as home hiring out, which is like any trade that we hire out for. So we're actually a little bit under budget, which is great. It was a really expensive month, but like if you take out, I don't know, like this and then this, I feel like it was a pretty good month. I just had to put in the rest of our streaming services for the month. That is that. Mortgage card payment, all that is good. I didn't honestly invest a lot, which is okay. It happens. The priority this month was making sure that we had enough money in the home sinking fund for the patio door, and my sinking fund was at $15.72, and so I added another 1,000 in there, so it's at $25.72. Was that 92 now? Travel sinking fund is at 0, and the rainy day savings is at $8,400, and we'll have to obviously start replenishing that. Broke it all down as much as I could. Some things we put in our joint card, some things we couldn't. Like when we used the tube, for example, just an FYI, if you're going to London or somewhere, we use our phones, but you can't charge the same like credit, like, because it charges you going in and then it charges you going out, or like you tap out and it just like records how long you were in the tube for and it charges you, but you can't do it twice. So like I couldn't go through the tube and then Matt couldn't go through with the same credit card, we were told. So we did have to pay for those kind of separately, but most of the stuff we put in our joint card, as you can see here, like the full amount. So some of these like souvenirs, obviously like I'm not going to make my husband pay for, which is once again why we like having personal credit cards still. Like I wasn't going to make him pay half of my Jellycat or, you know, like half of my watch. The only souvenirs that we put in to split were things like postcards, magnets, things that were going to go around our home. But like Matt bought a few souvenirs, I bought a few souvenirs. Experiences also included in trips and adventures, travel items. So we got melatonin, I got a travel pillow, and then our outlets, Amazon, I got sunglasses. I got a new crossbody bag for our trip, the Poppies and Peonies one that you guys saw, because I wanted something that I felt safe with. And my Baggu, I felt pretty safe with my Baggu. I just had to make sure it was closed, but I liked having the crossbody and having it close to me. But I felt very safe while we were in London for the most part. And then my visa. That's London. And then Disneyland Paris. So we spent $436.74 like in total on the joint card, but once again, I can't break down what is like, I guess the rough estimate I could say is that we spent about $100 in souvenirs. Everything just gets charged like Euro Disney, whereas when you're in the States, it'll say like, for example, if you go to Casey's Corner to get a hot dog, it'll say Casey's Corner, and then it'll say Mouse Gear, and you can break down what's a souvenir versus what's food, but everything there just got charged to our card as Euro Disney, so I had no way to really differentiate it. But overall, that's how much we spent on food and souvenirs. Like I said, I got gifts for the neighbors, and then I did get a sweater, which was like my one splurge item. The euro is a little bit better than the pound, so that kind of works. And then everything else I just categorize. I've been starting to categorize my stuff instead of by card that I use. I like to do it by item, so I can like really see in the grocery section like, okay, like this is how much we got for groceries, this is what we spent for house and home, instead of having to search it. That's just like a personal preference. I just like when I can like see at a glance like all the groceries instead of like kind of scrolling through. I don't like to put them by date because then I feel like I don't take the time to reflect. So anyways, we canceled our Odd Bunch. We do really enjoy Odd Bunch, but we just canceled it because a lot of stuff in produce is in season now, so I don't think it's as worth it compared to doing it in the winter. We did a lot of small grocery runs this month, but sometimes that's better for us because we spend less money if we go more frequently. So that was food for the month. And then house and home, we did some like flowers and pots. You guys would have seen that in the vlogs. My fairy garden, that went through the business because I ended up filming a video about that. Frames for the dining room. Sometimes I paid for that on my personal credit card and I forgot to put it on the joint card, and like I'm not gonna ask Matt for the money. It's like, it's not that big of a deal. Sometimes I forget. This though we did, that was the art piece for the dining room, or sorry, the library, the rug that we got from Home Depot. And that was house and home this month. Car, once again, the car repair, parking, and gas. I only ate out a few times this month but we obviously ate out a lot on our trip. And then once again, the cash, we probably ate out like 2 times. We got hot dogs. I know for sure I got hot dogs on like a little solo date night that I had, and then I got ice cream. So that's just like, I don't track cash purchases, honestly. I don't spend a ton in cash, which is why I track the withdrawals now. That kind of like helps keep me in check. So I probably spent maybe another $40 on eating out. And then here's everything else. So nail appointment, oh, here's the cash withdrawal, bathing suit, makeup wipes, LCBO, thrifting. Because I film those videos for YouTube, I'm able to expense 50% of that video since I technically am buying it for my own enjoyment. Dog food, and then that Uniqlo dress. So that was the spending for June. Overall, like aside from the big things, I'm pretty happy with how the month went. And now we can look into July. I don't have any bills that come out the first few days of July, so the amount that I ended off with in my budget should be the amount I'm starting off with in July. Yeah, like in my checkings account right now, I have $16.43.57. So we're off by like 30 cents, but that's okay. So I can put that into July. I already kind of set it up for the month, so we're just going to go through it super quick. Checks, I just budgeted the normal amount. I put in my business dividends. I put in that we're transferring $2,500 from the home sinking fund. I'm pretty sure our door is going to end up being a little bit cheaper than that, between $2,000 to $2,500 a person, which seems expensive because our patio door frame needs to be completely rebuilt. It is like completely warped. Obviously, wood is expensive. So they're taking out our existing patio door. They're completely rebuilding the frame and weatherproofing it and then putting in our French doors. So that's why it's a little bit higher than just probably putting in a traditional patio door. Groceries, I'd love to stick around that $300 mark. I really want to have a month where we just use up a lot in the freezer. We have a lot of meat now. We have a lot of things to use up, pastas, rice, sauces. I really want to do that kind of like once a quarter thing that we've been doing, or once every 3 months, I'd say, where we just like really go through everything in the freezer. I always like to be on the safe side. I feel like we eat out a little bit more in the summer, and it is our birthday month, so I'm sure we'll go out for like a dinner or two. Although we do have some gift cards that we need to use up. Alcohol and cannabis, I feel like I put 50 normally. Car maintenance, 100. Shopping and hobbies, 100. Item restock, 50. That's things like makeup wipes, mascara. I know I need shampoo and conditioner. I have to say I'm excited for the patio door to get in, and then for us to like have a break from the bigger projects so I can see this expense category go down. Appointments, I'll get my nails done probably. Dog food, home improvements. Once again, this is just going to be another one of those like bigger home improvement months because we need to finish the home library. However, it is important to note that in August, I will get a kickback from the business for the home library because I've explained this before, but if I do a home renovation project and I film it for social media, I can expense 50% of it because you're doing the project for the enjoyment of your house. So you can't expense 100% of it, but I can't expense 50% of it. If I'm working with a brand, however, then I can expense 100% of it. We're not working with a brand for the home library as far as I know. So basically come August, we'll tally up the home library costs. Let's say the home library ends up costing us $1,500 to do. I will then, the business will send myself $750, and so that can kind of like help replenish the home sinking fund. Just in case you were wondering, I'm excited for August to come and have a lower spend month. Home decor, I put $250, but like I don't know why I did that because I can't really see anything that we need. Everything else we need for the home library at this point, Matt is actually today, he's going to get some wood to build a frame for the top, MDF, and trim. Other than that, I guess the sconces, but like realistically, they'll be like $100 for the pack of 2. So I'm gonna honestly, yeah, maybe say $150. Everything else, that's just like miscellaneous things that I don't know how to categorize. Cash withdrawals, gifts. It is our birthday month. We have to talk about if we're doing gifts or not. I'm not too sure. I don't think we will, but putting some money aside for that anyways. And then I'll do $100 for freezer fill. All of our subscriptions. Crave is at 0 to remind myself to cancel it. I'm actually going to do that right after I film this video. I have 6 minutes left on the camera. Okay, I can do this. Mortgage, car payment, all good. As you guys can see here, I outlined what I want to do with the business income. So that way, when that hits my account, I know right away where it's going. So $2,500, we're putting $1,000 into the emergency fund to replenish that. And then we're doing $750 in the investments. I was doing $500 a month, which felt like pretty good, pretty comfortable, but I want to push myself a little bit. And the more I put in now, the less I have to pay myself that big chunk at the end of the year. So I'm going to aim for $750 in each one. That would be great, but we'll see. And then these are just all the sinking funds I want to contribute to this month, and that will just kind of come out of my normal pay. So doing the sinking fund super quick because you get interest on those with Wealthsimple. Oh, I actually have $100 in fun money. That's fun. Gifts and holidays, I have $250, $255. And then this one is $128. Nice. Travel, we actually have 12 in there, which is great. I want to start putting money aside too, because I'm going to Berlin, like I said, for work in the fall. So I'd like to have a little bit of money just for like things that I want to do. If I want to go to a museum, work will cover obviously my flights, my hotels, and then food. I get like a certain stipend a day. It's like 75 Canadian, which it's not going to go very far with the euro, but any difference I have to pay out of pocket. And then if I want to do anything, souvenirs, work actually doesn't pay for coffee either, unless you get food with it for breakfast. So if I just got a coffee in the morning, I can't expense that through work. I want to start kind of building up a little bit of a cushion for that as well. That's that. These are what the credit cards are looking like. My Porter card is because I actually just booked my flight to Fredericton for my work conference, but I booked it through Porter. We have a Porter credit card to get points. So I'm just waiting for that expense to come back through work so I can pay that off. But that is the budget for July. Please enjoy Stella's back legs in this video. Both girls are like sprawled across the bed right now. That is the budget check-in, June budget, London trip breakdown, if you guys were asking for that, and then setting up the July budget with those changes I wanted to make. And oh, big stretch, Lila Bean. That is the mid-year reset. I hope you guys enjoyed. I love you guys so much, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.